A frightening crime spree, the murder of Kaylee Sawyer. The peaceful college town of Bend, Oregon, was shaken by a horrendous crime spree that occurred over the summer of 2016. This crime spree not only horrified the community, but it also left an indelible imprint on the people who lived there. Because of the criminal spree, an impression that will stand the test of time was produced, and it will be remembered for a very long time. It was during the course of the semester that was being experienced this year that the event in question took place. The occurrence of this tragic event serves as a sobering reminder of the precariousness and randomness of acts of violence of this kind, and it is something that should be remembered. The lady who passed away was a student at Central Oregon Community College by the name of Kaylee Sawyer. At the time of her passing, she was 23 years old. The fact that Kaylee Sawyer had a sunny and optimistic attitude on life was well known to everyone. She was a young lady who had a positive attitude about life and a smile that was infectious to everyone surrounding her. She had a contagious smile. They found that they were drawn to her because she had a lively personality and because they were kind without any conditions. Her family and friends had a strong fondness for her, and they learned that they were drawn to her because of these two factors. The people who were closest to her, including her family and her friends, had a tremendous deal of affection for her. Kaylee was observed leaving a bachelorette party that she had attended with a friend on the evening of July 23, 2016, when she was seen exiting the celebration. It was observed that she left the party herself before her departure from the gathering. As she was leaving the event, she was observed leaving with a joyful disposition. This was observed at the moment of her departure. She never returned to her home, and the sudden departure of her prompted her loved ones to become concerned about her whereabouts. On the other hand, she never returned to her residence. In a manner that was completely unexpected, she disappeared without a trace. The following day, Kaylee's relatives went to the Bend Police Department to report that she was no longer in their control and that she was considered missing. They also informed the department that she was missing. Noting that she had been reported missing, they acknowledged that report. In the beginning of the investigation, there was not a great deal of information that was discovered. Nonetheless, as time went on, a number of disclosures that were disturbing started to come to light. The information that was presented suggests that Edwin Lara, who worked as a security guard at Central Oregon Community College, was the last person she was seen talking to. This is the conclusion that can be drawn from the aforementioned data. It was instantly decided that Lara, who had been on duty the night Kaylee went missing, was a person of interest due to the contradictions that were apparent in his story of the events that took place that evening. Kaylee had gone missing on that particular evening. As soon as possible, this decision was executed. During the time that Kaylee disappeared without a trace, Lara had already begun working. Lara's behavior took on a pattern that became increasingly unpredictable as the gravity of the situation gradually increased throughout the course of the investigation. This pattern emerged as the investigation progressed. It was the beginning of a criminal rampage that spanned numerous states and involved kidnapping, car theft, and attempted murder when he escaped Bend, which marked the beginning of the frenzy. Also included in this criminal rampage was the attempt to kill. Before his escape, he was responsible for each and every one of these offenses. He was answerable for them all. His actions, which were characterized by his conduct, contained both a disconcerting lack of remorse and a determined purpose to evade capture. His behavior was characterized by his behavior. These two characteristics are parts of his behavior that he possesses. His behavior was completely unforgivable and cannot be condoned under any circumstance. When he kidnapped a woman and forced her to travel with him on his journey, Lara was attempting to flee Salem, Oregon. He was also forced to travel with him. During the time when Lara was making preparations for her escape, he carried out this action. Not only did he post a number of disturbing comments on social media during this time period, but he also made fun of members of the police enforcement community. On top of that, the general public became even more anxious as a result of these posts. A number of states were involved in the hunt for Edwin Lara, which took place over the course of several days and reached across the country. Both of these states were locations where the search was carried out. He was finally apprehended in the state of California, which marked the dramatic finale of his criminal rampage. This occurred after a high-speed pursuit of him. The high point of his crime rampage was reached when this event took place. An investigation into the circumstances of Kaylee Sawyer's death led to the discovery of the horrible specifics of the time that she spent in her final moments. These details were revealed during the course of the investigation. Following the discovery of Kaylee's death, it was revealed that Lara had severely attacked her. Kaylee's body was discovered in a remote region close to Bend because of the discovery of her body. The fact that Lara was the one who carried out the assault was proven without any shadow of a doubt. This proof provided further evidence that her family and the town had been harboring the biggest fears in their hearts. Her family had been bearing the greatest anxieties. It was a stressful event for those folks who were familiar with Kaylee and had affection for her. The trial of Edwin Lara was a difficult procedure that had to be carried out, and it was a terrible process overall. He ultimately pleaded guilty to the charge of aggravated murder, and as a consequence, he was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole being granted to him. In contrast, he ultimately entered a guilty plea to the charge. At the same time as members of Kaylee's family and friends were recounting the traumatic effects that her death had on their lives, the courtroom quickly became filled with emotional testimony. This transpired at precisely the same time that the proceedings in the courtroom were rife with feelings. During the course of their conversation, they discussed a bright future that had been cut short by a tragic event, as well as the continuous sense of loss that they were experiencing as a direct result of their suffering, as a direct result of their loss. Immediately following the untimely passing of Kaylee Sawyer, the community of Bend came together to pay their respects to her memory and to remember her spirit. As soon as her death was announced, this took place in the immediate aftermath. To achieve the objective of providing financial support to students who are interested in furthering their education, the family of the deceased person established a scholarship in her honor. The scholarship was founded in celebration of the deceased person. It was as a result of this case that a tragedy of this size was prevented from occurring again in the future. Additionally, the case led to revisions being made to the rules that control campus security. It is a monument to the legacy that Kaylee leaves behind, which is one of love and perseverance, that those who knew and loved Kaylee have retained their faith in her throughout her life. Kaylee's legacy is one of love and tenacity. The legacy that Kaylee leaves behind is a monument to her, and it is something that she leaves behind. As time goes on, the murder of Kaylee Sawyer continues to serve as a solemn reminder of the preciousness of life and the unpredictability of the outcomes of violent acts perpetrated by humans. This is a reminder that continues to serve throughout the years. This serves as a reminder that continues to act as a catalyst for those who are experiencing emotional anguish. Keeping vigilant, getting support from the community, and keeping strong in the quest of justice for victims and the families of those who have been wronged are all particularly important. And the fact that this is the case highlights the importance of these things. While Bend is still in the process of recuperating from this sad chapter, the memory of Kaylee Sawyer serves as a light of hope and a reminder to give appreciation for each and every time that we are allowed to spend with the people who are precious to us. Would you like it? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channels for more interesting and informative videos.